because other seasons that are beginning right here, right now, actually games will be played before these football games will be played, and that is the volleyball and then the cross country. Let's go volleyball first.
Yeah, so volleyball, they're running their own two-a-days right now with Coach O. She's back for her 46th season overall as a head coach. Last year she eclipsed 500 career wins, and the girls were able to, the young ladies were able to get their first playoff win in program history, and it's a program that Coach O started. So being able to beat Victoria St. Joe at home and the regular season finale was massive. And Coach, she had told the kids, like, from now on we're in playoff mode. And Victoria St. Joe had only lost in the last 8 years since they've been in the district. They've lost twice, both of them to St. Joe. Yep. One 4 years ago and one last year. So that team just doesn't know how to lose in district. So for those girls to rally and beat them last year in the regular season finale really gave them that momentum to go into the playoffs and go to Cypress Christian and beat them in what was 5 sets of just classic, chilling volleyball. It was really it was just an amazing match. And we fell to Fort Bend Christian in the next round. But, I mean, when you have some 6-footers that are just hitting 10-foot line and kids that are Power 5 D1 athletes, I mean, it's, the best thing and the best story I can give you about that Fort Bend match is 2 things. One is my own personal experiences with Carmina was that I told her after, I said, the people in this circle, me, you, Coach, Tino, St. Joe community, we knew you could play D1. But after today, showing what you can do against some legitimate D1 kids, now the whole world knows you can go out and play D1. Yep. And she was like, man, I didn't think of it that way. I said, it's true. Because you gain the respect from those girls that are legitimate athletes. Yep. The second one is Coach Tino. We got swept. We lost in straight sets. I think we posted 9 points in that first set. The second set, we went neck and neck with them. Yeah. And I think the final score might have been like 25-19, somewhere in that neighborhood. But that second set alone, Coach Tino was like, no, that's what I like to see out of my programs. He goes, you guys didn't lay over. You guys easily could have just been like, it's over. But those kids fought through that second set. We took the lead in that second set, and that just showed, the grittiness that team had last year. But going into this year, we lost 2. Obviously, Noelia Lopez, who was a defensive specialist for us last year, and then Carmina Tejirina, who was the libero. She reached 1,000 career digs last year. She's just down the road at RGV, and losing a Carmina is a lot losing like a Jerry. You don't replace those guys. It's like losing a Claudio. Yep. Those kids are very special at what they do, and as well as I do, when you have a libero like that can just control the whole back row, it's game over. When it gets down to it. But there's so much coming back, and I'm so excited to see what this team does. Sienna Mireles is a junior. Regina Martinez, who I think is poised for a true breakout year. We saw it in spurts last year. She's a junior. Sky Hudson is another kid. She's also a junior. She really came on strong last year towards the tail end of the season, and in the playoffs, she really stepped up in that Cypress Christian game. And then of course Gali Martinez, who's she's going to be a sophomore this year. She broke out onto the scene as a freshman, and she's a Martinez. So she's got that gene in her that they only know one switch. That's how Hinato and Jerry, that's how they roll. But there's a lot to be excited about with this volleyball team. And what I like too is that Friday they have a tri-scrimmage in Valley View. Tuesday we hit the road and we're going to Roma. And they just started on Monday. So you're talking about 6 days of practice,
and more or less.
Game. 6, 7 days. Yeah. So ready or not, here we come. But it's an exciting team. And what I love too about Coach O is that we have Harlingen on the schedule. We have Brownsville veterans on the schedule. We have Hannah on the schedule. We picked up Los Fresnos. Kudos to Coach Anisa Lucio. I ran into her at the media day the other day, and she goes, "We needed a game," and I said, "Let me call Coach O," and Coach O's going to say yes. And it's just a credit to those coaches that are willing to take on that game. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And the district, like you said, it's going to be very competitive. Victoria St. Joe, they're to be the man, you got to beat the man. They're still the district champion. Last year I thought Sachs surprised a lot of people, myself included. We finished third last year, but the St. Mary's Hall game, that was not a cakewalk, especially at St. Mary's. That one went 5 sets. Victoria is always Victoria, Saks. St. Anthony's, they had Laura Sierra, who was a tremendous middle for them last year. And going to St. Anthony's is like that one place where, like, do we have to go play there? Like, it's just one of those places where it's just tough to play. It's just a tough place to play, and they're always a very scrappy team, and they're gonna give us a run for their money, and that's what we expect. But there's a lot of junior heavy, senior heavy. This year with Danica Guerra, Ivania Sosa, she's an outside hitter. Look for her to have a big year as a senior, and Olivia Wood, who's a wizard on the defensive side. So she's got a good blend of some juniors, some sophomores, and some seniors that I think they can do some really special things this year. And I told her last year we're going to be right in the mix for a district championship.
Yep.
They're that good.
Now let's talk about after the Roma game. Then you're going to roll into tournament season for volleyball, which is always the early part. So let's talk about some of the tournaments you guys will be in.
Yeah, they're in the Donna tournament. So I haven't seen the bracket just yet, but I know last year they were in the Hidalgo tournament that they wound up winning. They're not in the Hidalgo tournament this year, but they do have the Donna tournament. And then after that, it's just a lot of non-district games.
Okay.
But like I said, it to me that'll outweigh the tournaments because of who you're playing. You're playing the Hannahs of the world. You're playing the veterans of the world. And mind you, we're home at Hannah. We're home against Harlingen. We're at Los Fresnos, and we're at veterans.
Yeah.
So I love that. When Coach O told me that we're playing against Los Fresnos, I go, we're playing over there, right? And she goes, yes. I'm like, that's awesome. And I told Coach Lucio, I said, that's great. I love that we're coming here, because these are the type of environments that these kids need to learn how to play in.
Yep.
Because when we go to Saks, when we go to Cypress Christian, when we go to Fort Bend, those are the kind of crowds you get.
Yep.
And it's better for these kids to learn and take their lumps now with these 6A schools and those kinds of environments.
But also, Kevin, it's true in football, and it's also very true in volleyball and basketball as well for St. Joe. As a matter of fact, any of the sports that you talk about is the fact that maybe there was a time when people would say, well, Los Fresnos scheduled them because they wanted to win at home. They wanted a homecoming win of sorts.
Yeah.
But not now. Coaches look at St. Joe teams saying they'll challenge our girls too. And so it's not a cakewalk expected when Los Fresnos says you're coming to town. They prepare.
No, for sure. And that's a testament to Coach Tino. And I told him, I can't remember when it was. It was sometime late last year. And I just kind of gave him a pat on the back, and I said, man, you've set a standard of winning here at St. Joe, and for people to be committed to doing their jobs and to showing up every day and, implementing the off-season program. I go, it's a reflection of what you expect from your programs, because girls basketball, you look at them coming into this year, the expectations they have. Coach Sammy, they're very young, but the expectations they have, across the board, track and field. 2 more state champions last year with Nicole Rashear and Olivia Wood. This year they expect nothing less from Olivia Wood.
Yep.
They expect her to win another state championship. We expect the girls relay team in the 4x2 and the 4x4 to be at the state tournament in Waco. We expect our golfers to compete. Our tennis, we had Fran who won 3 straight state championships in tennis. So the expectation is there, and Coach Tino will tell you too, and the amazing part is that the school does it with 300-odd kids compared to a couple of thousand down the road at a veterans or down the road at even a La Feria, who I'll tell you this was the athletic program was up for small school program of the year. It was between St. Joe, Lyford, and La Feria. And I think that's a tremendous, tremendous honor for St. Joe to be even mentioned with those two. I personally think that St. Joe, I had a case for every team on why I think they should have won. But the fact that the program was in the sentence, in the conversation, I think just speaks volumes to Coach Tino and to every single coach that we have there at St. Joe.
Because, again, the talent pool is 300 versus anything in the thousands.
Right.
Let's talk about the cross-country team, because I know running cross-country myself a million years ago, my basketball coaches love that. Football coaches don't necessarily look at cross country as anything other than, well, there's a couple of athletes we'd like to have. Talk about your cross country program and where it's at.
Yeah, so Coach Teddy Lopez, Coach Michael Schlater, Louis Tijerina, I mean, those guys are go-getters, man. I mean, Louis still runs with the kids during the workouts. And Coach here, I think you and him would have a tremendous conversation with just his stories and how many consecutive years the guy has run, how many miles he has. I want to say he has a record on how many miles he's ran. He's got a tremendous story. Coach Schlater does. And it's funny because Victor and I were talking. We have their media day Tuesday of next week, and I was with Sarah Pirtle earlier today. We were just kind of game planning for the media day. But Sarah, she's going to be at the forefront on the girls' side. She's a senior this year. She's done it all 4 years. Her sophomore year, she was a 10th. Less than a second away from being all-state. Last year she went up to the state meet. She fared well there as her junior over her junior year. This year she's looking for it all, man. And she has aspirations of wanting to be a Division I athlete. And it's funny because I just had the conversation with her a couple of hours ago about that.
Yep.
And how she's been in contact with some coaches and how there's some interest there, and she really wants to take her talents to that next level. So Sarah's one to keep an eye out. Victoria Flores, who's going to be a junior this year, she has really stepped up, and Victoria is like the spirit animal, the emotional boost. Mm-hmm. And that's what Sarah was saying. She's like she goes, last year at the state track meet, she goes, I just felt Victoria's energy. And I fed off of that. And I said, well, that's good that you have some underclassmen that are going to bring that animal, right? Yep. That energy to your team. And that's what Victoria brings. And she's a tremendous track athlete, tremendous kid. So look for her to have a big year. On the girls' side, Kate and Sophia Meyer, they're also back as well. So the girls, they're in a really good position. I know last year at the district meet in Victoria, Providence came out of nowhere and kind of surprised everybody. And what the scary thing about them was they were loaded with freshmen, and they really took that district meet by storm last year. So we kind of got Coach Teddy's got his work cut out for him. Yep. On the boys' side, they have Julian Goody, who's going to be a senior. He's gonna be the front man there, and they have guys, like JoJo Clements, who's had a very good offseason. He also plays basketball. Marco Garcia, he's going to be a sophomore as well. So there's a lot of really good pieces with Coach Teddy's cross-country team. And, in fact, they have their first meet Friday down here in San Benito. So I'm excited to see what they do. Little Alejandrito Gonzalez, he's going to be a senior this year. Mm-hmm. And he's a soccer player at heart. And last year he came out and joined track because I just want to get faster. Yep. He goes, I just want to run faster. I want to be faster, so I joined track. And he really took in the track role. And then the other night at Midnight Madness, he was out there running laps around everyone, and he came on for an interview, and he just said, I feel like I'm in very good shape. I put in a lot of work this offseason. He goes, but I'm not there just yet. But I know I'm on the right track. So he's another kid to keep an eye out for. But all in all, I think, the girls, they were in a very good position last year because of their youth. Going into this year, and one of the questions I asked Sarah was that, yes, you're a junior, sophomore, and a senior. On paper, you guys look young, but really, you guys you're well seasoned. Mm-hmm. And she said, no, it's true. She goes, I didn't really think of it that way, but it's true because all the girls, they're juniors, but they have a lot of experience. The sophomores have a lot of experience. So the boys last year was more of a retool. Santi Garza is another name that came to my mind. That he's a good little cross country runner too. So there's a lot of pieces there that Coach Teddy was learning from last year, and this year I feel that they're ready to kind of just take that next step now that they have a lot more experience under their belt.
Put that in perspective, my friends. If you run cross country, let's look at it from this angle. You start a volleyball match. Couple of sets, you're going to decide a winner. You start a basketball game, 4 quarters, you'll decide a winner, maybe overtime. Start a football game, quarters, minutes, decide it. Cross country, gun goes off, see you in a couple miles. Go compete for a couple of miles, and then come back and see who wins.
Yeah, it's tougher than it looks. It's easier said than done, especially when you get to the state meet. in Waco, and you see that the level of competition. And I know on the boys' side a couple years ago, I know TMI was just a thorn on the side because they had some legitimate Division I runners that went to some serious. I think one of the guys went to Princeton.
Yep.
As a runner. So I mean, it's some top quality stuff. And I mean, those kids. I mean, you wake up at 5 a.m. and go run all those miles and then go to school and then do it again after school. So those kids are tremendous, man. I love the cross-country team. I love Coach Teddy and Coach Slater. Like I said, they're a fun group to be around, and it's an interesting sport to cover. And they said, well, how do you cover it? I'm like, well, if you're crazy like me, you'll get them at the start, and then I already have a path in Waco where I go across the track or across the course.
Yep.
I catch them on the turn, and then I sprint all the way back, and I get them at the finish line. They're like, that's the that's kind of the way you have to do it. But
yeah, we did a golf match last year. I covered golf, and I started at the first tee. We had all the tee and everyone hit, and then I jumped in a golf cart, took a commercial break, got to the next area for the second hit, and then the putting. Cross country is a different sport.
Golf's cool too. And then the thing with me is I'm lucky that Coach Alex lets me carpool with him in the buggy.
Yep.
And I just get the pictures of the kids, and then we go from there. So that's one of the easier ones. You know how to walk a lot.
Yep. And cross country again. I'm going to get off this in sooner than later, but cross country, they train distance days, they train short days and quarter milers, and they measure quarter miles. At least we used to measure quarter miles. We'd run 10 quarter miles all timed, and 8, 9, and 10 were the most important times in the coach's perspective, because those are the endurance quarters when you're competing midway through a couple of mile race and trying to figure out how you can catch a pack or how you can stay ahead of a pack or someone that's coming to catch you. That's Kevin Naro. I'm Joe Bowling. JC Ramirez should be joining us. He's texted us a couple of times. We'll probably text him in the off break here.
He just sent a message.
All right. We'll
7 minutes away.
7 minutes away. We'll take a break. It won't be 7 minutes, and I'll keep you on just for a short segment. We'll talk about Week 1 in football in the RGV and some of the big games there. Right back after this. From Luke Fruia Motors, it's Talkin Sports.
This is our home. Take a look at what we do.
At San Benito Vision Source, the optometry staff works around your busy schedule and take the time to answer your questions and concerns prior to a visit. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez and Dr. Laura Loki offering full vision examinations, diagnostics, and treatment of an array of eye diseases and conditions to keep your eyes healthy. Call the friendly staff today with questions or schedule a consultation. San Benito Vision Source. We are back here at Luke Fruia Motors. It's a Wednesday, a couple weeks before the football season really gets going with games. Kevin, we talked a lot about St. Joe. I'll have J.C. Ramirez on a little bit later. We'll talk with some Brownsville veterans. But looking at Week 1, some of the games on our new platform, which I can't announce yet, but we got some big ones, including one on a Thursday night that features a team that if anybody else tells me they've got 2 tougher games to start the season than San Benito, let me know. Week 1, they're at PSJA North. Week 2, they're at home, but they get Westlake. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's a tough non-district schedule, and I know just watching the scoreboards last year, it was I know it was tough sledding for Coach Gomez those first few weeks, but And again, I'm going to go back to Gavin. Gavin's very well versed with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he can tell you about the teams. And we were talking about San Benito, and I told him, I said, San Benito is going to be very interesting because they had a down year by their standard last year, and I can't imagine them having another down year. There's just no way with Coach Gomez there. I know Coach Johnny Garza, he's now the head coach at Rivera. So, and I know Steve Marroquin is back. as the offensive coordinator there. So there's some familiarity there with Dan and bringing back the offense, systems that they're comfortable with running. And the for sure thing about San Benito is that, they always have a lot of athletes. They're that rare 6A school. It's a one-horse town. So I can't imagine San Benito having another down year. But I mean, look who they play week 1. It's PSG North, and one thing I do know about PSG North is that they've always had this physical brand of football. Not saying that they're not going to be physical this year. They will. But one thing that's different about them is they have speed, and that's one thing that team maybe wasn't so much of a luxury in these last few years, that they've just been a premium program. But the speed is one thing that could be a difference this year for PSG North. And I know they still have Ethan Guerra, who's, if not one of, or the top 2 backs in the Valley. They're out of that backfield. So, and then, Mike Evans is now there coaching at PSG North. So that's one thing that I don't want to say flew under the radar, but that's one hire there that's really going to help, that PSG North staff. And, I mean, they already have a tremendous staff with Coach Kaufman and Coach Esparza. But having Mike there to kind of sprinkle in some things, it's a very, very good addition for that North staff.
Yeah, and it's having that explosion at any time opportunity, which creates a different monster in PSJA North.
Right.
Some say, put them in the hat and pull them out, and they're number 1 on most everyone's list. Others say, well, Kevin, you said it. There's another one over there across town over in Edinburgh. Vela looks to be a pretty tough squad this year as well.
Yeah, I'm hearing, some pretty good things about Vela as well. And, until they get knocked off, I mean, they're still going to be that premium program. Los Fresnos as well. They got a Saturday game at home against McAllen. So, you get some really good football right out of the gate. I'm hearing good things about Pioneer as well with them and their quarterback position. With the Diamondbacks, I know Coach Gali, he's always done a real good job there at Pioneer. P.I. Lyford, that game, since I was at the paper, that game always is good. It's always good. I think a couple years ago they started the year off with like a 3 overtime game, I think, something like that. So Port Isabel, of course, I'm going to keep my eye on them and see what they're up to and kind of see how
does Monty keep track of Port Isabel often, or has he put that away?
Yeah, he's a bloodhound, man. He's all in. He's all in. When he brings up PI, it's because we're reminiscing. And we're talking about guys like Jockey Gia.
Those are fun talks, though.
No, yeah, hey, I invite you, man. Like I said, he's my neighbor. He sits right next to me. So anytime you want to have a conversation with him, I mean, he's a lot of fun to talk some PI. But PI Lyford's, that's
Mission Vets get to kick it off week 1. They've had to do that because of district separation and things like that. But that's always a good measuring stick for both of those programs, that Mission Vets game week 1.
Yeah. You and I have known David Gilpin a very, very long time. And, since COVID, since that COVID year when they lost that Ed Couch, that weird rain game, and they didn't get into the playoffs. And I think I told you the universe is kind of out of tilt with Mission Veterans being out of the playoffs. They're a team too that I think has got something to prove. And you and I know better to bet against David Gilpin. So Jody Cantu is the new coach at Mission. So they kind of got a new direction in which their program is going, and we'll see how they end up faring. And I know I always forget Missions, and they're in 5A now. They've been in 5A, so it's a little bit of a different taste there for Mission, but certainly something different.
There were years in which you had to wait a while for a game between Harlingen and Westico. Now that they're where they're at in district play, they play each other in week 1. That would be a good measuring point right there.
Yeah, no, it really will. It really will, because I haven't talked to Manny in some time, but I actually ran into him at a softball game last spring. But Harlingen's Harlingen and Westlaco's Westlaco, and both those teams have aspirations to be a district champion, and I think that's a home run game right off the bat.
I think so.
If you're just looking at this schedule, that one and the San Benito game, just 2 teams that are 4 teams really that they know how to win football games. and yeah, it's at Weslaco.
Yep, at
So
Weslaco.
and there's familiarity there with those two, and those two got a good little rivalry going. Obviously, they used to be in the same district.
Yep.
But certainly a good one right off the bat.
Yeah, you used to have to wait 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks before you would see that game in the Valley. And it was always a big game, regardless. But I think as far as tone setting, I said it to someone I was talking with last week that I'm waiting for Harlingen to have another one of those explosive Harlingen years, and Manny's always ready to do it, and he always has some stuff in his back pocket that he doesn't bring out until you see it.
Right.
We may see some stuff week one. We'll just see how good Harlingen is. JC's here.
Yep.
Kevin, you went overtime with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
Kevin's going to be
sure.
involved a little more on the RSL network outside of the St. Joe channel, assisting us there. We appreciate you assisting there. But again, good talk.
Yep. I'll be here the next 2 Wednesdays, so we'll kind of dig back into the old tricks and have to start doing my homework a little bit more. We'll have some coaches on board the next 2 weeks, and we'll have the same kind of conversations we have now. So
maybe by week 3, I'll switch gears. I'll let you ask me the questions. We'll see what I can do. I don't think I can match him now. He's outgrown me, my friends.
All right.
That's Kevin Nara. We'll be right back.
Has provided a place of hope for every child since 1936. If you'd like more information on Sunny Glen and the services we offer, please visit us at www.sunnyglen.org.
South Padre Island. Enjoy endless activities for all ages. Then dance the night away with live music. Savor fresh seafood and discover unique food trucks and shop our charming boutiques. What are you waiting for? Escape the everyday at South Padre Island.
Sherryland ISD, a nationally recognized district focusing on quality and rigorous instruction where every child is immersed in a culture of academic success. Sherryland ISD, excellence is our tradition.
When you study local at Texas Southmost College, you can choose from over 50 associate degree programs, certificates, and workforce training programs, all at the most affordable cost in the Rio Grande Valley. Transfer your TSC credits to a university or start a new career, like Kat Gomez, who graduated from TSC and is now patrolling the streets of Brownsville and serving her community. Register now at tsc.edu/register and study local at Texas Southmost College.
At San Benito Vision Source, the optometry staff works around your busy schedule and take the time to answer your questions and concerns prior to a visit. Dr. Jaime Rodriguez and Dr. Laura Loki offering full vision examinations, diagnostics, and treatment of an array of eye diseases and conditions to keep your eyes healthy. Call the friendly staff today with questions or schedule a consultation. San Benito Vision Source. We are back here at Luke Fruia Motors. JC Ramirez has made it into Luke Fruia Motors. I appreciate you joining me, Coach. I know you've been up against it, and it wasn't your fault. Other people just wouldn't let you out of the office.
People that make more money than me, you got to wait. You
got to wait.
Yeah.
JC Ramirez, let's just jump right into it. Brownsville Veterans football. I was talking with Kevin, some schools get to have spring ball, and they get to have a lot of excitement while spring ball is going on. But this time of year, those that had spring ball are saying everyone else is practicing. I want to get on the field. Talk to me about where Brownsville Veterans is getting ready to hit the field for the first time.
Yeah. So we were very lucky, and we did have spring ball. We've had it the last as far as I can remember there at Brownsville Veterans, and it was a great season. Time well invested. We take 18 practices over 5 any day, right? That's girl math, dad math, whatever you call it. That's good math, right? So we took advantage of that and found some answers to some questions that we had after the season ended. But now, like you said, everybody that didn't have spring ball, they started August 4th. We got to wait till August 11th. But new rules that came into play through UIL after COVID shut down allows us to see our football kids every day, Monday through Friday, and we get to work actual football skills. So it's not like if we haven't practiced since May. We've been around the football every week. We took 1 week off during the summer. That is the 4th of July week. Other than that, we've been working football and super excited to get going with our season.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about what's in place for this year and what may have to come into place this year. But I want to reflect a little bit back last year, Coach. Coaches will do it. Media guys will do it. And occasional fans will do it. They'll take a look at the team that beat you in your final game and say, how far did they go?
Yeah.
Well, they beat you by 3 points up in Corpus.
Yeah.
And then they turned around and Harlan beat them by 3.
Yeah.
And then Harlan played Vandergrift really tough and then lost it late in the game. And then the next 2 games are 3-point games, close ball games to the state championship. And prognosticators, coaches look and say, you know what? A couple of breaks here or there, we could be there. I mean, 3 points, Coach. Talk about that was a great season for you guys.
Yeah.
But I know you looked at it and said we could have had that win and another win on the board.
Yeah, I think any coach that's worth his weight will have that mentality, right? You always look back and you always reevaluate. And you always, I guess to a fault, you second guess, but you also understand that your job is to turn the page and prepare and look forward to. So kind of looking back a little bit, sure, yeah, definitely. We were up in San Antonio in that second round playoff game, and we had a really nice lead, and we couldn't hold on to it, and we just lost. And then we had kind of taken a look at what could have been in the third and fourth round, and realistically talking, we had been to semifinals in the 5A ranks, but now we were in the 6A, and we were like, you know what? Those are all pretty favorable matchups. I mean, not that they were going to be,
they're not cakewalks. Right.
No, not cakewalks, but all very winnable. And like you said, who knows? Who knows what could have been? But the fact of the matter is that we bowed out at the second round to a really good team, and yes, they went on to the next round and they didn't win. But what we saw from that is that we can play, we can hang, we belong in 6A ranks, and so kind of turn the page to this year. That's been our focus. Like we've already answered a bunch of those questions. Can we do it? Can we do it consistently? Yes, we can. Can we do it at 6A? Sure, we can. We know that already. We have a style of offense that I think is a great equalizer. It allows us to stay in ball games and even match up very well against teams that are a little bit more athletic than us. And so we truly believe in what we're doing. And 2024 is done. We've gone through spring ball, and, man, we're super excited to hit the ground running already in 2025.
2025, you'll be back in the same district as you were. We can get to that a little bit later on because that's no cakewalk. We already talked about San Benito's going to be waiting. Harlingen, who knows what they're going to be this year. Los Fresnos is Los Fresnos. But let's look at what the pieces that you need to fill in and some of the key roles that are gone. Graduated. We're high school athletics, and that means that people are gone. Who are some of the faces that are looking at some of the big positions?
So I'll before I kind of talk about that, I'll tell you this. The one thing that I have to tell myself every morning is, we lost a lot of good pieces, but so did everybody else.
There you go.
Right. For the most part, it's high school ball, right? And so the obvious is the most important position in all of sports, quarterback.
Yep.
We did graduate a 2-year starter in Storm Montoya, had a magical 2023, had a phenomenal 2024, and guess what? He's good enough to still be playing football right now. So he's playing up in Eastern New Mexico University. He started their fall camp 3 days ago, and we're cheering for him, really proud of him. And he's up there alongside 2 former Chargers that have already been there for a full year, and so we're excited for him. But so the question was pieces that we lost. So it starts there at quarterback, right? Right now, we if you're an opponent of ours, man, we have no clue what we're doing. We have no idea who's gonna play. But no, we have 2 quarterbacks that are still battling out, and it's gonna take. I'm foreseeing that it's gonna take our first scrimmage and probably the first 3 non-district ball games for us to really settle on who our starting quarterback is. Hopefully it happens sooner, but the 2 guys that we have there, both very athletic, both very smart, both very experienced running this offense, and so we're in a great situation. I thank God for the situation that we're in, and that, yes, we're losing Storm Montoya. Everybody knows who he is, but I think it'll take a very short time for us to be in a similar situation where everybody's going to know the name of the next kid up. So whoever wins that quarterback battle will have at least 2 years of eligibility left after it's all said and done. So it's a couple of younger dudes. and they're going to be, protected this year. We have 3 out of our 5 offensive linemen back. That's a huge plus. We have a lot of continuity in our coaching staff. We had our offensive coordinator did leave, but we promoted from within. Our offensive line coach is now our offensive coordinator. So the line play, the physicality, the play calling, the style of time control, grinded out offense is still going to be there, and going back to the advantages that our quarterback's going to have, our backfield is loaded with talent. We've got 3 returners that would be star running backs on any team. Starts with our fullback, number 15, Cesar Belmontes. He's been playing varsity ball since he's a sophomore. He's a senior now. Last year he had a very good season, and he was splitting reps with Alvin Trevelyan, who was a standout running back himself. So despite that, Cesar was a home run hitter. He first play from scrimmage last year versus PSJ Memorial, took it to the house, and it was like, and the rest is history. So he's extremely confident. He is clearly one of the leaders on our team as a senior. And when he talks, people listen. But because he leads by example, right? He's I don't know. I don't study too much about who's on what team, and because at the end of the day, they're high school kids.
Yep.
But I know that, Harlingen has got a really good running back, and we have a really good running back. And, I think it's going to be those 2 dudes and then everybody else in the valley. So I'm really, really happy that we're going to have that. He's the cornerstone of that backfield. And on the opposite, the 2 slot positions, we have 2 home run hitters in Calvin Trevelyan.
Okay.
So he's been playing varsity ball for 3 years. It seems like 5.
Wow, he's a senior.
Yeah,
all right.
He's a senior. And then a junior opposite of him is Maddox Bond, who played varsity as a freshman in 2023. So
experience.
Our quarterback has to snap the ball, make his first initial read, and then just let the magic happen, right?
Yep.
And so
I was going to say, you got 2 quarterbacks that are young dudes, that are new guys. Either one of them steps in there, they got horses behind them.
They sure do.
And then they got fly guys on the outside that can go get the ball.
Yeah.
Don't have to make many mistakes.
High school football. I heard a great college coach talk about. He had been in high school ranks, then moved up to the college ranks, and he saw the difference in high school football and top tier Division I football is. In high school football, regardless of how competitive it is, and this is very true to our area, I think you don't necessarily win games in high school football. You just limit the amount of mistakes so that you don't lose games in high school football, right? And we understand that. We're coaching 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, and then, you're lucky when you get them a senior-heavy group that they're all starters. It's not too common here in our area. But we kind of have that going for us this year. We lose some very notable names from last year, but we had a really strong supporting cast of juniors last year, and now they're seniors. So, Storm will be greatly missed. I'm sure he will, but we're super happy to have the guys that we have.
Yeah, and you've got the base of a program that says the feeder is there. Pieces are coming in. You're not begging for kids to come out and play football at Brownsville Veterans. They're running in the door like left and right saying, Coach, I want to play.
I wish I could tell you that we are in the same situation. I remember hearing back in 1999 when Edinburgh High School, made a run to the state semifinal. And the following year, I remember hearing in the news or maybe in the newspaper that they had over 220 football players the following fall camp. First of all, how do you manage that many? But second of all, I was like, so I expected for the notoriety that we got in 2023 to equal more participation, and it has. But we play a very physical brand of football.
Yep.
We're extremely demanding from our kids that we have on our team. And so we have a lot of interest, but the people that stick around, not so much.
Got it.
Not so much.
I get that.
But I'm not saying we're looking for quality over quantity, because we'd love to have 220 kids out there. But the reality is that if we don't negotiate or relax with the high standards that we've put in place, and it took a lot of excellent athletes and a lot of hardworking coaches to take it up to that standard. If we don't negotiate that, we are going to lose some kids. They're going to come out and they're going to say, you know what, man, this football thing is just not for me. 6 o'clock starts in the morning, and then the grind of what that entails it's not for everybody. So our team is not tremendously big. We don't have necessarily a larger number of kids on Friday night than most of our opponents. But the ones that we have, they're tried, true, and tested.
Yep. I had a coach that was going up against a team that was dressing 90. He was dressing 45 on that particular night. Mm-hmm. And his quote to me that I'll never forget it. He said, "Joe, every player that dresses tonight for me, I'll put them in and know they can make a play." He's got a couple players over there he may put on the field hoping they can make a play. Yeah. And that's where you're at. Every player you put on the field is tested, ready to go in your program, know what to do.
At least that's the objective, and that's what we're trusting is going to happen.
All right, let's go from here to PSJ Memorial. What do the veteran Chargers do to get ready for that first game of the year?
We have a great scrimmage set up.
Okay.
Very exciting. We're taking on Nicky Rowe. McAllen Nicky Rowe. They're bringing in a brand new staff led by a new head coach who played in the NFL, coming from a very tradition-rich program. So their head coach was a longtime assistant at Edinburgh Villa. This past season, he was at Westlaco East. And there's a lot of excitement in the air for the Nicky Rowe Warriors. They're trying to find out who they are, their identity. And so we're fired up to go over there and play them. Last year, they were our only scheduled scrimmage because we both had done spring ball. They went through that tragedy where one of their members lost their lives, and we ended up not scrimmaging them. So we have no idea what they look like. We have no idea, who they really are.
Yep.
But we'll find out, and we'll find out really quick. The cool part is that we know who we are.
Yep, exactly. And that's your scrimmage, and then the first game of the year, PSJ Memorial.
Yes, sir.
How do you get to that game, through that game, without looking at what is now, as Kevin was talking, become a rivalry game between Brownsville Veterans and St. Joe? And Coach, I know that's one your kids, if you don't, your kids are more eager to get back on the field against that team than you, perhaps.
Yeah. So plenty to talk about St. Joe matchup. But PSJ Memorial, so they too have also – we'll see you, Kevin. Hey, root for the Chargers, baby.
Hey. In week 1 he will.
So PSJ Memorial, they just hired a brand new coach who I happen to be a longtime friends with. I got the utmost respect for who he is. He's done it the right way for a long time, and I'm so happy that Omar has gotten his chance to be, the leader of a team. And so I know – what I know about him is that he is a hard-nosed football coach, and so we haven't seen any film on them because there's nothing out there yet. But we'll look forward to seeing them scrimmage and find out what they're doing. We have an idea of who they'll be. They did graduate a lot of seniors last year, so we'll find out. But man, every high school football game that you're allowed to be a part of as a coach, as a fan, as a football player, it is a tremendous honor. And so I would never say that, we're ready to get that one done so we can get St. Joe, because that's not the case. We have, for Nicky Rowe, we want to go out there, we want to execute, who we are, and it's a glorified practice, but you're competing against someone else. So we're going to take a lot of pride in that. But really, the only game that we have circled on our calendar is game 1.
PSJ
Memorial. Yep. And that's the God honest truth.
That's good stuff, especially when you're trying to get some new quarterbacks in place.
Absolutely.
I fully understand that. I'm going to keep you just for one more question, and then I'll let you go because I know you're running as late as I am. But Brownsville forever, everybody played at Sam Stadium.
Yep.
Brownsville Veterans plays several home games at Brownsville Veterans. Talk about how that has now become a true home field for the Chargers versus Sam Stadium, which also is a home field when you play there. But when you're playing at Brownsville Veterans, talk about the atmosphere there now.
Man, it's special when you get to see something from its inception and then you see it grow into something awesome. And I have that privilege. When Brownsville Veterans Memorial High School opened up, I was part of the inaugural staff, and I was there as an assistant coach under Coach Mark Guess. He opened up the school as our head coach, and he didn't get to see us through a varsity season because he became the athletic director the year that we were going to be first year varsity competition. But we did play varsity teams under his direction, right? And so not a lot of people know this, but there's been 17 varsity games played at Veterans Memorial Stadium for the Veterans Memorial Chargers.
Yep.
Goes back to 2011.
Okay.
We hosted a little team from the Corpus Christi area called Corpus Christi Miller.
Oh, yeah, little team. Yeah,
Well,
okay.
back then, Corpus Christi Miller was a little bit of a funk, and they weren't the Corpus Christi Miller that everybody knows right now. But boy, they were big, they were fast, they
They still brought a ton of
Yeah,
athletes.
so we had juniors and sophomores that year. It was an official varsity game. And we got to beat those guys at Brownsville Veterans Memorial High School. That's our first recorded victory at the varsity level there, right? And that's a pretty cool little tidbit of history.
Yeah.
But going back to the stadium, what it means so much to us to be able to play there. It is officially designated as BISD Stadium number 2. So all other 5 Brownsville ISD high schools have opted to play at least one game there this year.
Saw that.
And so that's really cool.
It is.
It's really, really cool. It's got, if you've been around the college game, it's got a small college stadium feel to it, especially when it's a great rivalry game. So if you were there, to witness Veterans versus St. Joe, it was crazy cool. It was crazy cool, and that's the same thing I expect this year at Canales Field. Probably crazier, right? Because they beat us last year. So, it's a great venue, and I'm super proud that the other BISD head coaches have embraced it as that. That it is a varsity quality setting. Very intimate. You have the band. The stands aren't big enough to hold the band and the dancers and the pep squad. So we put the bands on the track, and so the band's like right there.
More atmosphere to me.
If you lose focus, the headband director could be the one calling the next play, right? So it's great, but that stadium gets packed, and Charger red, white, and blue left and right, and then if you're playing a great opponent. Which this year we will. We got some doozies there at Veterans Memorial High School. So we open up versus PSJ Memorial at our stadium. We play Rio Grande City at our stadium, and then we're hosting what could potentially be a top 3, top 5 matchup. We're playing PSJ High Bears at our stadium. That's on September 26th. So. 3 big matchups for us, and then you sprinkle in the other Brownsville schools that are playing there versus their opponents. And it's, Thursday night, Friday night, football here in Brownsville. Just go somewhere, right? It's going to be, because Sam's not available early in the season, it seems like, go to our school or go to the sports park, but you're gonna see some great matchups. Yeah,
I always camped out at Sam Stadium because it was the easy place for me to be. But when we suddenly started seeing your schedule ramp up and up and up and up, and it's like I was talking to Gilbert the other day. I was like, that's my spot. I love it, but I'm going to be at Brownsville Veterans for some games as well because of the matchups.
The matchups,
the
absolutely.
All right, so let's talk real quick. We'll touch base. I know it's a long way from here to get there, but you still got to look at your district from a perspective of, Harlingen, San Benito, Los Fresnos, right out of the gate. Those are 3 teams that every football fan in the Valley always says, I wonder what they bring this year. And you do too, I'm sure.
Sure. We're not naive. We got to look a little bit into, what they have coming back. And I think you mentioned, the way you mentioned them, Harlingen, the first team, Coach Gomez, man, that's a guy that everybody in the Valley admires because of his longevity, his trajectory. He's a proven winner, and it's not just him, right? It's his whole staff. Those guys are all in Cardinal football. I have the utmost respect for them. Their offensive coordinator and I are good friends. When Easy Gonzalez, who's now the head coach at Harlingen South, when he was there in Harlingen, he was a phenomenal friend to me when he didn't have to be. I learned so much just by talking to him. So anyways, good people at Harlingen. But right now, talking football, those guys don't lose very often,
No.
right? Last year, they went through a slew of injury. They lost more games than I know that they're used to. But coming back, they have, that I know of, and I could be wrong, that I know of, they probably have the only Division I prospect in the Valley this year, in a kid who's only going to be a sophomore.
Whoa.
You know, and that's Coach Woolery's son. He's a phenomenal young man, super likable, and a super athlete. And last year they used him at quarterback. I don't know what their plans are for him this year, but I know that him being on the field, he's, your eyes just naturally gravitate to those type of athletes. And so I'm sure they're excited. They've been working hard. And like I said, we all have social media, and you take a peek here and there, what they're putting out there. And so I know they're working just as hard as anybody. And so that should be a great matchup. Los Fresno's defending champion in 32-6A, and they're bringing back their quarterback. Like I said earlier, that's the most important position in all of sports. And when you have a returner, a 4-year starter now, how could you even fathom looking past them? Nobody will. So it's him. They have fastest kid in the Valley, won the 100, 200 meter dash at the Meet of Champs. Their running back, Diego, and again, excellent kids, man. I wish some of these kids were not likable, but all these kids, you meet them because they're great competitors and they're all outstanding individuals, man. Mm-hmm. And so I'm super pumped for what's gonna be. But San Benito, Coach Gomez is, if we're keeping track of who's gone to the third round the most, if we looked long and hard, it'd probably be Dan Gomez, coach from Westlake East, and Manny over here at Harlingen, and then the guys from Mission Veterans.
Yep.
I mean, those are the guys. And so San Benito, again, we know that those guys don't rebuild, they reload, and so we'll see. We'll see. That's the last game on our schedule. What the team that I think is really going under the radar right now is our crosstown other rival, and that's the Hannah Golden Eagles.
Uh-huh.
They're bringing in a high-powered gunslinger, and I'm glad that I know who he is, right? Because we know that they're going to be greatly improved. So 32-6A, I know Clay Williams used to call it the meat grinder of the Valley. Some people might argue that there's another district that has taken over that. Man, I don't know. I just know that I live in the 32-6A world, and it's going to be a great ride. But I will end with this. As good as all those teams are, the Chargers are pretty good too, right? And I love the work ethic of our kids. I love the support that we have from our community. I love the support that we have from our administration, starting with our principal, Norma Jean Canales, and then all of our area assistant superintendents and our superintendent. Our athletic director has been instrumental in us getting whatever we've needed. And so, man, how could we not be excited right now? Right now, everybody's undefeated, and everybody has the aspiration of being a state champion. So,
exactly. Man,
happy high school football season to all of you guys out there.
Coach, appreciate the visit. Always good to see you.
Thank you,
I look forward to covering your games.
All
That's
right.
J.C. Ramirez, Brownsville Veterans. He's one of our schools we'll be covering exclusively on the BISD channel on the RSL network. Tune in, load our app. Hope you enjoyed this show. It's at Luke Fruia Motors, Talkin Sports each and every Wednesday.